Alrighty. Thank you all for joining this afternoon. I'm honestly so excited for this session because I truly love recognizing others, especially my students, my working learners. National Student Employee Appreciation Week is quickly approaching, and we couldn't think of a better topic for us to be discussing today. My name is Abby Anderson. I am Program Coordinator Senior with the Work Plus team here on the Tempe campus. I've been supervising working learners for a little over 5 years now, and it's seriously one of my favorite aspects of my job. Joining me on this presentation this afternoon, I have Amanda Kennedy, and I will let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see you all this afternoon. My name is Amanda Kennedy. I am the Associate Director of WorkPlus Experiential Learning Initiatives within University College here at ASU. I currently have 4 working learners that I supervise, and I am in agreement with Abby. I love working with them. I love learning from them, and I'm so excited to celebrate and recognize them during our upcoming Employee Appreciation Week in a few weeks here, but also help you all learn how you can recognize and appreciate your working learners year-round, so beyond just National Student Employee Appreciation Week. So quick little overview of what to expect from today's call. We're going to start off with talking about what is appreciation and what is recognition. We'll go into some best practices, strategies, tips, and ideas, ways to avoid recognition going wrong. We're going to share some resources that the WorkPlus team has developed and would like to share with you all. And then we'll also talk about recognition year-round. There will also be some time at the end of today's call for us to learn from all of you. What are some great things that you all are doing in your own offices or departments to recognize your working learners? Answer any questions that you might have, and you can also provide us feedback or give us requests of some different resources and tools that you'd like to see us to create and help support you in that recognition space. So in simple terms, difference between recognition and appreciation, we often use these terms interchangeably and think of them as the same thing. But while they're both important, there is a big difference between them. For leaders who want their teams to thrive and for organizations that want to create cultures of engagement, loyalty, and high performance, it's important for us to understand the distinction. So this distinction matters because recognition and appreciation are given for different reasons. So even when people succeed, inevitably there will be failures and challenges along the way. Depending on the project, there may not even be tangible results to point to. And if you focus solely on praising positive outcomes on recognition, we're missing out on lots of opportunities to connect with and support our team members, to appreciate them. So the easiest way to remember the distinction is recognition is like a Sun Award at ASU, and appreciation would be like a thank you note or an e-card. One is not enough without the other, but today we're going to be focusing on recognition. So what is recognition and why is it important? I would love to open it up to the audience. So if you would mind putting into the chat, what do you think recognition is and why is it important? No wrong answers. And I gave you a definition. Okay, important because it can support with the retention of staff and helping our team feel valued. People like to be appreciated. Sharing the positive impact students have on the environment. Acknowledging someone's strengths that are specific. Yes, very important to be specific with our recognition. I love that. So recognition is more than just saying good job. It's about making people feel seen and valued, as we saw in the chat. There's actually significant psychological research that supports that recognition activates a brain's reward centers and can increase happiness and productivity. So According to Dr. Donald Clifton's book, How Full is Your Bucket? The one reason people leave their jobs is that they don't feel appreciated. Is that true? Has anyone left a job or a place of employment before because they don't feel appreciated or valued? You can just raise your hand or throw an emoji into the chat. I know I certainly have. Yes, I see some hand raises, some thumbs up in the chat. Yeah, absolutely. You put in all this effort, and for it to go unnoticed can really have an effect on your mental health at work, and feeling like the work that you're doing is not going recognized. That can be really detrimental to productivity and wanting to work for a company or a place of employment. So recognition is one of the most important things you can do to increase retention. I also saw that in the chat, and lower turnover. And in a setting like student employment, recognition will impact a student's experience and set the standard of what they should expect, and will help them in articulating the experience that they gain through their student employment. There's actually a study from Gallup Workplace Analytics that emphasizes the relationship and connection between recognition, engagement, and productivity, with findings showing that employees who receive regular recognition are more productive and more engaged. So why is it important? In the context of student employment, for many of our students, this could be their first job. This could be their first professional experience. Recognition for our student employees is going to help them understand their value and their strengths, which will in turn boost their confidence to take on future challenges. And acknowledging a student's contributions can also tie directly to their career readiness. When students see their skills and efforts recognized, it's going to reinforce the importance of those transferable skills that they've demonstrated. By being recognized for their contributions, students actually gain a clearer understanding of how those strengths align with professional opportunities, increasing their ability to showcase these skills to potential employers. There's a lot of research. If you've ever attended a foundation session with WorkPlus, we talk about how we're seeing a large articulation gap with student employees who are entering the workforce once they graduate. So students are participating in great experiences like student employment, like clubs and organizations, internships, research. They're doing all of these experiential learning opportunities, but they're struggling to articulate those experiences, to make those connections between what they are doing in those experiential learning opportunities and how they connect to their post-graduation career goals and interests. Recognition can help us in supporting those students with that articulation of those transferable skills. By being intentional about recognizing the work that students are doing, it can be easier and support them in making that connection and recognizing how those skills are going to transfer. So according to Forbes, there are 3 main reasons why employee recognition will matter. So the first one being that recognized employees are happy employees. There have been a lot of studies that support having good vibes in the office is going to translate into a happier and more peaceful home life. Appreciative leaders are appreciated leaders. So you'd actually be surprised by the degree to which simply thanking our employees and our student employees fosters an atmosphere of trust. When student employees know that their efforts contribute to a cause and are noticed by people higher up in our departments or units, they feel a deeper connection to that leadership. And then finally, when employees feel recognized, they're going to stick around. So unfortunately, with our student employees, as amazing as they are, we obviously want them to graduate and we want them to, move on to future opportunities outside of ASU. Sometimes they do stick around after they graduate and move into professional staff roles, but we still have an opportunity to retain our students. I know we have student employees who have been on our team for over 2 years. If you hire staff from the time that they're a freshman or sophomore, that's 2 to 3 years, possibly 4 years of work that you can have and opportunities that you can have to work with them throughout their academic
Okay, so Amanda just shared a lot of statistics and reasons why, shared some definitions, but where do we start? First, you need to identify opportunities, making sure you yourself are in a receptive frame of mind, and then do the physical art of recognition. One of my working learners, who is a visual designer, she recently worked on a project for us. So University College, we moved to a new space, and Megan had the project to design the signage that would be posted on the stairwell to help direct students, staff, faculty to our new location. Because this new location is housing the Student Success Center for peer-to-peer coaching. It's housing the Explore Advising Office for those students in the exploratory program, and much more. So it was important that folks were able to identify and know where they were going for that. This student was one that is more of an introvert, but with her permission, I asked to share it on our University College department-wide Slack channel just to give her kudos and say, look what she did. She did this. She followed the ASU brand guide. She followed University College brands. And through that, she received not only recognition from me as her direct supervisor, but from other professional staff and student staff as well throughout University College, even upwards to our dean, giving her recognition and saying, hey, that's great work, good job. Not only was she getting that recognition, but then she also was receiving some additional networking. She was talking with professional staff members that she didn't normally get to talk with, and just expanding that network and collaborating through other departments within University College. I guess I probably should have clicked so you guys could have seen my points here on the screen. But again, identifying or realizing there's an opportunity to praise someone, but making sure that you are in the receptive frame of mind. Again, if you're not in a receptive frame of mind, you can easily pass over some of those opportunities or where you might be able to highlight and recognize the work that your students are doing. I know it was mentioned in the chat as well, to be specific around the recognition that you're giving to your students. To help you with that, you can recognize an individual's ABCs. So again, not just giving a blank praise and saying, hey, Amanda, good job today. What did you do? Why was it a good job? What impact did you make for our team or for the office? With that too, we shouldn't just be giving praise simply because, oh shoot, it's National Student Employee Appreciation Week. We appreciate you. Thank you for the work you're doing, right? So again, thinking about their attitudes, their behaviors, or the contributions that they're making. So again, the individual's ABCs. Consider these three areas as you are looking to identify what that specific example is that you're wanting to highlight. All right, so I just shared an example of how I've recognized one of my students. I want to take a quick pause and ask you all, what are ways that you have been recognizing your students, or what types of recognition is your team currently utilizing for student employees? Again, kind of thinking not in the context of National Student Employee Appreciation Week, but just on a more day-to-day basis. And again, you are welcome to put it in the chat. You can come off mute. I see Gail said Sun Awards. Love to see that. I love Sun Awards and giving the students Sun Awards. If you have student employees, they can receive those Sun Awards in addition to pro staff and faculty. I think Sun Awards are also beneficial because maybe I don't directly supervise one of the students that report to Amanda. I can still give that student a Sun Award, and I can even check the box that says notify their supervisor so that Amanda would then also be notified of the great work that her students are doing. Calling out success and team meetings. Of course, end of semester celebrations. We love a good party. Shout outs, warm welcome each shift when they show up for work. It can be as simple as that, having a warm welcome and thank you for showing up today. Each supervisor presents a recognition to each student worker with a personalized giveaway. That sounds really cool. I love to hear that, Josh. Assist with outreach or social media and giving them kind of a public recognition through Slack channels, random Starbucks friends. Hey, let's go grab a coffee. Absolutely. Including your staff, your student workers into staff potlucks. If you're having a staff potluck or a holiday party, absolutely including those student workers or your working learners is a great way to recognize them and show them, you are a part of this team. We value you just as much as we value the pro staff. So that's awesome. I love to see that too. In addition to giving recognition, feedback is also very important with that. So with that being said, when you're having kind of conversations, whether it's a more formalized one-on-one conversation or just a casual conversation in between tasks, ask your student employees if there's any feedback that they would like to give you, and not to put them on the spot. Like you can, give them a deadline, or if you have more of like an anonymous form that you can create to share with your students, they will also feel valued and appreciated by being able to give you as a supervisor some feedback. And again, feeling like, oh, Abby does care about what I'm experiencing, or Abby does care how I'm interpreting or seeing something come through. So again, just asking your students for that feedback. And again, I'm big on, we can always improve ourselves. We can always continue to grow. So asking your students, how can I be a better support for you? With that being said, looking at different types of recognition. So again, you can have day-to-day recognition, where again, recognizing behaviors that are supporting your department or your team's core values. You can do verbal praise, you can do e-cards. Getting a little ahead of myself here because we'll be sharing some links here towards the end that ASU does already provide some really cool e-cards that you can utilize and send to your student employees. There's the above and beyond. You can give anyone, sorry, let me start that one over. Going above and beyond. So thinking in the sense of like my one student, she's a communication specialist. That is her position. But she saw a need for more storytelling aspects in the work that we were doing. So she went above and beyond and said, hey, Abby, I'm going to create this reel that we can post on our social media to help other student employees understand what Work Plus is and how they can be getting the most out of their experience as a student employee. I didn't ask her to do that, but she went above and beyond and did that on her own. That was a great example for me to be able to say, hey, thank you for that. You saw a need and you executed it. There's also, of course, the milestones. So Amanda mentioned too that we have a couple of our students who have been on our team for 2 years or longer. So noting that on our calendars and remembering that January 27th is my students' 1 year anniversary of working in our team. Let's celebrate that because that's awesome. And again, I know we've said it before in previous workshops, but the hiring process and that onboarding process can be a big lift and take a lot of time, energy, resources. So again, if we're recognizing our students on a day-to-day basis or on a regular basis, then odds are the retention rates will be higher, as Amanda indicated earlier. On a side note, how many of you know when Employee Appreciation Day is? Oh, thank you, Christina. Christina threw in the chat that Workday has made it easier to see those milestones. It displays the hire dates, and that's absolutely something, again, check that out on Workday and add it to your calendar just to keep a tab and a reminder of when your students were hired. Thank you for sharing that, Christina. So there is an Employee Appreciation Day. It's the first Friday of March. So this year it was on March 7th. That would have been an easy day and an easy way to just recognize and say, hey, I appreciate you, whether it's a student employee or a pro staff full-time employee. And we'll be sharing some other little kind of national holidays, if you will, that you can mark your calendar and just, again, have an easy way to recognize those working on your team. So when performing the art of recognition, it's important to follow what is known as ASAP cubed. So you want to do it, give your recognition as soon as possible. Timing truly is everything. You don't want to wait until the performance evaluation time to recognize something that happened in January. We should be recognizing within a day or two, because it'll just, again, make it more meaningful and show our students that we do see the work that they're doing and the impact that they're making. You want to be as sincere as possible. Do it because you're truly appreciative. Don't just do it because Abby and Amanda said this is something I need to be doing, but because you believe that it is making an impact, or you do truly care about the work that was just completed. Again, we've said it a dozen times and we'll probably say it a dozen more before the end of this workshop, but be specific. Don't just say thank you and not explain yourself. That'd be like me coming up to Amanda and saying, "Hey, Amanda, great job on that thing the other day. It was fantastic. Good job." She's not knowing what I'm talking about. She's going to look at me like a deer in the headlights and say, "Abby, what in the world?" And then I'll have to try to, cover my ground there and figure out what I was trying to thank her on. So again, just be specific, have intentions around what you are thanking the students on. Kind of going hand in hand with being specific, be personal. This one can be a bit tricky just because some may prefer to be a little more private, or maybe they like more private recognition and not public recognition. But I do encourage being personal with your recognition. Again, it could even be as simple as an email directly from you to that individual, or a handwritten note, especially in the world we live in. Everything is digital right now. I think I would appreciate a handwritten note more because I wouldn't have to question, was this ChatGPT? Did they actually write this or did ChatGPT write this? If it's a handwritten note, I'm going to have more confidence that they meant what they were saying. Being positive, you don't want to mix in criticism with the recognition that you are giving to your students. Save those critiques for a one-on-one or performance evaluation time. We don't want to do that like sandwich where you say something positive, you throw in a critique and then end it with a positivity. If you're given recognition, just keep it positive all the way through. And again, hold that criticism for a later time, a one-on-one or an eval kind of conversation. And again, proactive. You don't want to wait for that perfect time or the perfect performance to note recognition or appreciation towards your students. You could be waiting forever. So again, just be observant and seeing how your students are working or what they're doing and how you might be able to highlight and say, "Hey, thank you for XYZ," and be specific on the work that they're doing. So some tips and low-cost ideas that you can do, because I do know that we're all on a budget and we don't have thousands of dollars to spend to celebrate and recognize our students. So for starters, a sincere thanks is the easiest and most cost-effective thing you can do. Whether it's a verbal thank you, if it's through a handwritten note, a card, or a Sun Award, as mentioned before. You could also consider offering a flexible schedule. Take a longer lunch, have an extra 15-minute break today. Maybe it's take the last hour and you can work remotely. Be flexible with your students and they're going to see that and say, "Wow, thank you so much." Maybe that doesn't happen too often, right? So again, just being flexible and working around in different ways like that. It doesn't have to be something you're going out and buying. Just about every student I know appreciates free food. So if you're able to provide a small snack or lunch, that could really show some of your appreciation towards them and the work that they're doing. Oh, I love Kim just put in the chat, flexibility, especially during those last 2 weeks of school with final projects, with exams, with graduation. It's absolutely appreciated. That's a great note there. Thank you, Kim. One of my personal favorite ways of showing recognition to my students, and it is free, is adding a recommendation to my Working Learners LinkedIn page. I especially do this for my students that are seniors and about to graduate so that they have that recommendation from a current/previous supervisor to be posted on their page for future employers to note and see. If you're maybe not at the point where you're ready to write a recommendation for the student, on their LinkedIn page, you can endorse them for certain skills that you may see they are thriving in or that are strengths within their industry that they might want to be pursuing, and just endorse that, "Hey, as a previous supervisor, yep, I would also say Amanda Kennedy has great teamwork skills and her communication is on point." So again, just being able to endorse that for our students there as well. Christina, I will have to think of other examples other than that LinkedIn for anybody that's not as familiar or doesn't utilize LinkedIn as much. I will definitely look and provide some recommendations for you all. Another free idea that you could utilize is social media. Give a shout out to your students through your department social media. Of course, making sure that you have consent from the student before you're doing that. But I would definitely say if you're able to post and give a shout out, especially through the week of National Student Employee Appreciation Week, just to be highlighting those students and kind of showing behind the scenes who's helping run the office or run your social media and just giving them that shout out there. Again, if your student is okay with public recognition, as many have said in the chat too, honoring them or highlighting them in a staff meeting, maybe showcasing some work or a project that they've recently completed is a great way that you can give that recognition. And again, showing others on the team the work that your student may be completing. My last tip or idea for you today is opportunities. Provide an opportunity. People want chances for trainings. They want that cross training and learning what other departments may be doing. They want to participate or lead a special project where their talents are noticed. So again, I think that's something that we say all of the time within the Work Plus office and through our Work Plus workshops and foundations is provide that opportunity and allow your students to explore their skill sets and their interests as well. All right. With that being said, I'm going to pass it back over to Amanda. Amanda, what should we avoid?
Yeah, thanks, Abby. So Abby highlighted a bunch of things that we should be doing, that we can be doing. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on what we should avoid because I think it is generally just the opposite of what we should be doing, but still good to call out and highlight. So first one that we should avoid is inauthentic or generic expressions of gratitude. Our student employees, they are smart, they are capable, they can quickly recognize when our appreciation is insincere or overly general. While extremely important to give quick thanks in the moment or in passing, those quick thanks are not as meaningful as a specific acknowledgement of their contributions. So instead, take the time to highlight what they did well, how it positively impacts the department, their peers, or the ASU community. And that thoughtful and personalized recognition is going to foster motivation and a stronger connection to their work. Next one is neglecting standard company procedures. So this one's a little bit unique for our student employees. There is not a formalized evaluation or feedback process that ASU has for student employees like it does for professional staff. However, it's still an expectation for us to be providing our working learners, our student employees with feedback. And so just being mindful of that, being sure that you are following those company procedures when it comes to giving feedback, both positive and constructive, and really finding opportunities to reinforce their growth and success. If you would like to incorporate a more formal process for providing feedback or evaluation to your working learners, that is something, Abby and I would be happy to support with. A lot of supervisors will schedule regular one-on-ones and check-ins. So being consistent with how often you're checking in with students, or it can be helpful for supervisors to have those specific times dedicated on their calendar to sit down and actually give feedback and recognition to working learners so that it's not going overlooked. Next one is not connecting student employees to the bigger picture. So many of our student employees may not see how their work fits into the larger ASU mission. And as supervisors, we really have an opportunity to bridge that gap, and by regularly showing how their contributions support the department and the university. I don't think I'm alone in saying that I would not be able to do my job day to day if it weren't for my working learners. They are so helpful. I think I would be working way longer days if it weren't for their support, and a lot of projects would be difficult to complete without them. And so being intentional about how you're recognizing the working learners' contributions in that sense, how they're helping the department to function, recognizing their collaborative efforts between the students, the staff, the faculty, it's going to help create that sense of belonging and purpose. And last one is be consistent. So don't be inconsistent with your recognition practices. If recognition has been inconsistent in the past, suddenly overdoing it can feel forced or disingenuous. Instead of making a dramatic shift, I know you're going to leave here with a ton of good ideas and things that you want to start implementing, but be transparent with your working learners. Let your students know that you are working on improving how you show appreciation. I recently brought on a couple new working learners to my team. I inherited some working learners from a previous team member, and for the first couple of months of that transition, it was a lot of me, learning my new day-to-day responsibilities. But I've had time recently that I've been more consistent in having regular check-ins and meetings with all of my working learners, and I've been very transparent with them that I have let some of those things fall off in the past, and this is what I'm committing to moving forward. And one of those is appreciation. So start off by asking them how they prefer to be recognized. Some like public praise, while others like private acknowledgement. I created a form, and we're going to share a recognition worksheet a little bit later in the presentation, but I created a Google form for my team that I asked them, how regular do you want to have our one-on-ones and check-ins? How do you prefer to receive feedback? Is it in the moment? Is it in a more formalized setting? Just making an effort to get to know them and how they like to be appreciated and given that feedback. So we're going to transition now. We've talked a lot about some general things that you should be doing, that you shouldn't be doing. And now we're going to talk about the different resources and tools that we have that are available for you so that you don't have to start from scratch.
So as mentioned, you can send an e-card. This is a ASU resource that is developed that you can send to faculty, staff, or student employees. There's various categories, including various categories such as like anniversaries for your hire dates or graduation, more celebratory type e-cards. Choose one of those templates that is listed there and then include a personalized message. And it's as easy as that to be able to send one of those e-cards to your working learners. And again, we'll be sharing links throughout this call, and then I can also send a follow-up email that is also highlighting the different resources that we're discussing. In addition to that, ASU, again, we've mentioned a few times, has the Sun Awards. This is a thoughtful, positive way to honor an employee for supporting university goals. You can submit a Sun Award to any faculty, staff, or student worker who's demonstrating individual excellence. And like I mentioned earlier, a copy of the award can also be sent to the employee's supervisor or manager or even a director if that's something you would like to do. So again, if you're recognizing the work that a student has done that maybe they don't directly report to you and you still want to give them that credit and let their supervisor know. So this is an example of what those Sun Awards look like if you're not familiar with a Sun Award. So as you can see on the left-hand side here, those are different categories that you can select. So this one is showing exemplary service and Sun Devil pride. Maybe there's also some innovation or value and diversity. You name it is one that you literally name what the award is and like what were they doing that is highlighting or supporting the university goals there. Next, Amanda's going to start highlighting some of the more specific Work Plus resources and what the Work Plus office is doing to recognize our working learners.
Yeah, thank you, Abby. So we've mentioned the recognition worksheet a couple of times today. I'm going to go ahead and throw that in the chat, but there's an example of what that looks like on the screen here. This is something that we have our new working learners fill out at the start of their employment. It's a way to get to know them, how they like to be recognized, what are some of their favorite things. And then as their supervisors, we just keep that on hand for when these opportunities for recognition arise. Maybe it's birthday, maybe it's an work anniversary, maybe it's just Employee Appreciation Day or National Student Employee Appreciation Week. Whenever those recognition days or opportunities come up, we have this worksheet on hand that we can refer back to and recognize our working learners how they prefer and with things that they'll actually like. Another example of how we recognize our working learners in the office is we have a recognition working learner board. So it's actually something that one of our working learners designed for us. We created this through the ASU Print Lab. We have a template or an example of the order that we can share with anyone who is interested in putting something similar into their own departments or spaces. And then we had our team just go and take some professional headshots at the Tempe headshot booth in the MU. And then on the right of their pictures is a board where it's just a large whiteboard where we will post, some upcoming events that are happening that students should be aware of. There's a question of the week that Abby is really great about changing the question for, and we get some really fun responses from our students. But it's just a really fun way to engage the students more and learn more about them too, because with that question of the week, you definitely get some interesting responses. And it's got some really fun emoji magnets that we're able to add to the board as well. And again, we have this template, so if anyone is interested in replicating this exactly, we can share that with you. And then please give an example of a question of the week. Oh, just recently we asked if students were a morning or a night person, and then we actually had someone put in there that they're more of an afternoon person. We've asked like favorite dog breed. We have asked, I think the current question is, what's the weirdest job that you've ever had? I haven't gotten a chance to look at some of the responses, but every week students walk by and they write on there. And the students that we have are a part of our Work Plus Learn team, but we have other students who are a part of the larger university college office that will walk by and write things on the board, or we promote other opportunities happening within university college.
I also just want to note too, on that whiteboard, students also will list different projects that they're working on that they're proud of. And again, that's just a way for like Amanda said, it's not just the Work Plus Learn team that's walking by this board. It is various individuals and different departments within University College walking by that. And it's just so fun to actually hear people stop in their tracks, read the board, and then turn around and say, whoa, who's doing that? That's awesome. Tell me more. So again, it's just really cool and a great addition to our office that again is helping us learn more about the students, but then also pro staff have just as much fun responding to those questions and acknowledging those questions. So again, just really making that sense of we're all in this together, and the showing the students also, I think, kind of shows the students that as professional staff, we're humans too. We're not scary people. They can feel comfortable to come and talk with us. So again, just a great addition that we've seen. And like Amanda said, if anybody's interested, would be happy to share more information around that for you to get one in your office.
Yeah, and this is just an example. You don't have to do this board or exactly what we've done. If you have a bulletin board that's not in use in your office, you could throw pictures up there. If you have a whiteboard that's not in use, you don't have to do this exactly. I think there's ways to replicate this in other ways, or with using existing spaces that you already have in your departments or units. All right, and then with National Student Employee Appreciation Week coming up, we've also developed some different assets that we would like to share with you all. We have a supervisor guide that Abby is going to share in the chat. But again, when we talk about not starting from scratch, or we want to really make this, not too much extra on all of your plates. You're all here today because you want to recognize your working learners, but we also know that you have your day-to-day responsibilities and tasks that you still have to take care of. And so sometimes this can be an extra lift. And so if we can support and take some of that off of your plate for you, we've developed some thank you cards. We have some memes. We have like a certificate of appreciation. We have a Canva template where you can put the student's name and their picture in there and share a little blurb about, what department they work for, what their major is. So different assets that you can use throughout the year, throughout National Student Employee Appreciation Week, to recognize your working learners. And then If you want to commit to recognition year round, we strongly encourage you to place reminders in your calendar. And again, remember individuals' preferences. But here are just some holidays that are centered around recognition that you can throw onto your calendar so that you have all of these opportunities to celebrate and recognize your working learners. So again, throw on those birthdays and anniversaries, service dates, when they're graduating from ASU. Talk about or add on Employee Appreciation Day, which is always the first Friday in March. National Student Employee Appreciation Week this year, it's going to be from April 14th to the 18th, but it's always the second full week in April. So you can put that on your calendar for next year and 2 years from now. Administrative Professionals Day, Just Because Day, National Thank You Day, Supervisor Day, National Candy Day. We used to have a staff member who would put like the fun, weird holidays that were happening each day. That's always like a fun way to recognize or just celebrate your working learners, like National Cookie Day, and you bring in cookies or something for the office. So just some ideas and holidays that you can add to your calendar so that you can commit to recognition year round. And then, speaking of National Student Employee Appreciation Week, WorkPlus, we will do a little bit of a plug for our Student Employee of the Year celebration that we have here at ASU. So we hold a celebration during National Student Employee Appreciation Week that is both for student employees and for supervisors of student employees to recognize the contributions from everyone throughout the academic year. So during this celebration, we announce our supervisor and student employees of the year. So there's one overall student employee of the year, and then we recognize 3 other student employees for innovation and technology, community service, and leadership awards. And then additionally, we recognize our supervisor of the year as well. Abby, if you want to click the page, there we go. So we're going to be doing celebration pop-ups at each ASU location. So the main end of year celebration is going to be held on the Tempe campus, but we'll be doing pop-ups at Polytechnic, West Valley, and downtown Phoenix. Just an opportunity for us to thank supervisors and student employees. Our hope is that as supervisors, you are able to come to those celebrations with your working learners, just take some time out of the office and recognize them for their contributions, and also celebrate your contributions as supervisors. So everyone is invited, student employees and supervisors, at the end of year celebration, which will be happening on April 18th. We will have lawn games, inflatables, food, swag. The ASU Pause Therapy, as featured on the screen here, will be in attendance. So we will hope to see you all there. Well, with that, Abby and I are done talking at you. We want to open it up to everyone else. How are you recognizing your working learners? Is there anything that you want to celebrate that you are just really proud of in terms of, the work that your students are doing, or the best practices that you have around recognition? Also open it up for any questions, comments, anything that would be helpful for us to know in terms of supporting you to provide recognition and celebration to your working learners.
Christina, I love your comment in the chat there. Just reading it aloud for everyone. Christina said, part of why I find it so important, I want my student workers to understand their worth, to help them recognize a positive working environment and what being valued looks like in future jobs. I think that is extremely important. Again, like Amanda said, for a lot of these students, this might be their first experience. This might be their first job. Let's make it a positive one for them and help them understand like what is okay, what isn't okay in a professional setting, or what they shouldn't be putting up with when it comes to professional settings, different things like that. So I love that you mentioned that, Christina. Thank you. Thank you, Yasmin, for noting how much fun you had at the end of the semester celebration. Again, like Amanda said, there's food, games, and of course, networking. Come talk with other supervisors and other students that are working on campus and making an impact in the work that we're doing and here at ASU at large. Any other thoughts, comments? I did have someone in the registration form that had asked a question, and I don't have experience, so I don't have a whole lot to go off of, but opening it up to ask you all, how do you recognize and celebrate students when you are supervising a large team? We're saying like upwards of 50 to 100 students. If you are someone that has had that kind of experience, how do you recognize and celebrate your students, especially to keep it personalized? I fortunately have been kind of blessed and like Christina said, only having like 2 to 3, 5 students at most that I'm directly supervising. So I don't have a whole lot of room to be able to provide suggestions there. But if anybody that has worked with a large team has any tips or suggestions, would love to hear those. Oh, I love Josh's example. In the past, they created personalized rec cards through the ASU Print Lab with a headshot, number of years that they'd been working in that job, the positions that they had held, and a quote from a supervisor, and then all the staff signed the back. That is such a cool, neat, personalized experience and little gift and thank you can give to your students. Josh, is that something you could share like a picture or an example with me later just so I can see what that looked like? Thank you. Okay, Kimberly, thank you with some experience with supervising a larger team. Taking just about 10 minutes to write a quick thank you, focusing on about 3 a day and record who you're recognizing throughout the month so that you're making sure everybody was getting that recognition. Um, Love to see that. And again, keeping track of that, making sure everyone is getting recognized and making sure I'm not recognizing Amanda 5 times in 1 month and Christina once, that I'm making sure that I'm equally recognizing and saying thank you to my team. Ooh, creating a student worker lounge area in the staff area, giving them a place where that they can share food, just to chill between their shifts or between class. And again, just full of those positive vibes. We love to hear that. And again, just making sure that the office and your team is welcoming and showing the students that again, we want you to be here, we value you, we care about you, not just as an employee, but as a human, as a student. Come hang out, grab something to eat. I love these. I know we shared that link for that supervisor guide that again has different ideas, a lot of what we've been talking about through this session today. But we will have leading up to National Student Employee Appreciation Week, we'll be adding in the Slack channel just links to different resources and ways that you can be preparing to recognize and celebrate those students in your offices. And again, making sure that it's a genuine recognition for them. But of course, too, we are always open and love to hear what you all are doing and love to see what you all are doing. So as we're approaching the week of National Student Employee Appreciation Week, or even during that week, would love for you to be sharing in that Slack channel what you're doing, share pictures and just continue to show the others across the institution at all the campuses how we can be recognizing the students we're working with. Again, noting break areas with a vending machine for snacks, drinks, fridges, microwaves, ice. I love the offices that have ice machines, they get it. We live in Arizona, it's hot. I want ice water and I don't want to have to walk to the MU to get my ice. So that's a added bonus right there to have ice. But again, having seats and tables, books, magazines, puzzles to help de-stress. I know we set up in our kind of common community area for our working learners, coloring pages and colored pencils and different things like that. Again, just to help our students take a break, relax, take a breath. It's fine. So again, love to see that. I know we are getting close on time, but just want to take a second if anybody has any last comments, thoughts. Again, this meeting is being recorded, so we'll share this recording out with everybody once the recording is ready, and also linking the different resources that Amanda and I discussed today as well. I try to give like 30 seconds in case anybody's typing in the chat, and the Zoom silence is just extra loud and 30 seconds feels like 10 minutes. But with that being said, again, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. If anybody has any questions or comments or concerns, please do not hesitate to utilize that Slack channel or feel free to message Amanda or I directly. We are happy to support you in any way. Again, loving the ideas that we're seeing in the chat here. And I know Amanda and I will be connecting soon to work on some additional resources. So again, if there's resources you're looking for, but you just don't have the time, let us know. We'd love to work with you and work on our office to get those created for you so that you have those ready for National Student Employee Appreciation Week. So thank you all. I hope you have a lovely rest of your Wednesday, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, everyone.